But before we proceed, let's go back in time to February 2018. As early as then, it was pretty clear that last year would be the year of the notch. But one company was already thinking of alternative ways of delivering the borderless smartphone experience. That company was Vivo. The solution was an in-display fingerprint scanner and a pop-up selfie camera, seen here in its prototype Apex form, and then later as the high-end commercially available Nex, which debuted at the World Cup in June. Okay, let's start with an unboxing. Box looks pretty standard. Take note, this is the Pro model and it comes with 6 GB of memory and 128 GB of storage. Flip the phone around for some of the phone's key features, but let me tell you about them instead. Come on, let's lift up this cover. Inside, a small white box with this assortment of papers, SIM ejector tool, warranty card, and quick start guide, and a case. Now, this isn't transparent case is made of hard shell plastic with a rubber grip around it. Next up is the V15 Pro all wrapped up. If you look closely, you can see some of the blue color shining through. But let's set it aside for later. And now onto the accessories. A fast charging brick, micro USB cable, and wired earphones. Okay, and unwrap the phone. The V15 Pro is a really good-looking mid-range smartphone with this glass-like finish on its polycarbonate back. This color is called topaz blue. The phone is predominantly this rich royal blue color all around, including its side, but with this diagonal topaz gradient cutting from its top left to bottom left. If you look closely, there's a pattern over here, almost like rays that give the phone's overall look more depth to it. Vivo calls it Spectrum Ripple Design, and it's very pretty. Definitely a step up from last year's V11. The phone will also be available in coral red. One more thing before we flip the phone around, notice how prominent the camera module, almost like a paperclip on the back of a sheet of paper. This is probably to highlight the 3 rear cameras on the V15 Pro, the first time on a Vivo phone. The camera hump continues to the top of the phone. This over here is where the selfie camera is hiding. More on that later. For now, the rest of the port and button placements are like this. A headphone jack up top, volume and power button on the right, micro SD card and dedicated Google Assistant button on the left, and on the bottom, speaker grills, micro USB port, and a dual nano SIM card slot. Okay, now onto the front of the device. Look ma, no notch. Yep, this phone is all display, maybe with just a wee bit of chin down below. I really do like how this looks and how symmetrical the forehead and chin. It's a pretty good display also. A vibrant 6.39-inch Full HD Plus Super AMOLED panel with nice rich colors and contrast. With this 19.5:9 aspect ratio, YouTube videos will have black bars on both sides, but you can pinch out to fill the entire display. Expect some parts of the video to get cropped. Netflix originals are wider and will fill more of the screen, but not all. Pinching out with 2 fingers will fill the screen completely, also with a smaller crop. Games like PUBG will also automatically stretch to fill the screen, but you can also go into settings and switch back to normal mode. The screen is bright enough to be visible outdoors under the sun. Like its predecessor, there's a fingerprint scanner embedded under the display, and it's pretty quick. But you still have to press and hold for like a second for it to work. Vivo says this is the 5th generation of this tech, even if it's only been a year since we've seen it on phones. If you look closely, the earpiece is tucked away up here on the top edge of the display. This does not double as a speaker, so you don't get that stereo effect you get on some phones. The crowning glory of the V15 Pro has got to be its selfie camera, which is tucked away here. By default, camera to unlock the phone with your face. Once set up, every time you press the power button, the selfie camera will pop up to identify your face. If there's a match, the phone is unlocked instantly. 2 megapixel sensor, making it the selfie camera with the most megapixels to date. Vivo has always had great selfies in its DNA. Now the question always asked when it comes to form factors like this is, how sturdy is this mechanism? And are there cons to dust and dirt getting trapped inside? Guess this is a good segue into the V15 Pro's triple camera setup on its back. The breakdown is as follows: a 48 megapixel sensor, the main camera, which combines pixels to produce a 12 megapixel image, an 8 megapixel super wide angle camera, and a 5 megapixel camera for depth sensing. Photos come out pretty good both during the day and at night. There's even handheld long exposure night mode. Here are more sample shots I shot around New York. One of the V15 Pro's cameras is dedicated to measuring depth, and in our tests did a pretty good job cutting out subjects from the background. For those unfamiliar with Vivo, its software skin is called FunTouch, and it runs over Android 9 Pie. It's very iOS-like in the sense that there is no app drawer. You swipe right from the home screen for the widget screen, and swipe up from the bottom of the screen for the control center. I personally don't mind this Android skin. There are a few cool features, like using the phone's built-in video beautification for video calls on third-party apps. There's motorcycle mode for countries where this is the primary mode of transportation. The V15 Pro replaces the Vivo V11, released no more than 6 months ago. If you own the V11 and want to know if you should upgrade, here's the breakdown. Processor, RAM, storage are all better, and it's evident in games like PUBG that gives you the option to play in high settings by default. Gameplay was smooth and enjoyable. Upgrade to the V15 Pro if you want the ultra wide-angle camera, or if you dislike the notch, and if you want a slightly bigger battery. In the week we tested the device, the V15 Pro lasted me a whole day with average use. Charging times were pretty impressive also, with its dual-engine fast charging. You can fill it up to 44% with a 30-minute charge. If it's going to be anywhere near the pricing of its predecessor, which was around $350, then this will definitely be a strong contender in the mid-range space. Vivo's V series continues to be the mid-range smartphone to beat. It's definitely one to consider.